What's up guys, my name is JDCook5 and welcome back to another episode of F1 My Team. We are now round 8 in Catalonia that we're going to be racing in. Before we get onto the track we need to be doing a few upgrades to the engine and a few new parts so we are not breaking down in the next race. If you remember last race in Monaco we was running the engine to the limit. Obviously we don't have as much lifespan on the engine so we need to be alternating the parts every so often with available parts being used, and we might as well do it when we don't have to run down any practice session time or when we're not allowed to once we're in Parc Ferme. Only a few upgrades being made as the other parts are still okay, and we will check the percentage on them as we go through the game. So Catalonia then, this is an upgraded track. This is obviously the updated layout from what we previously know as in the F1 previous games, with a free-flowing end to the track with not that kind of tight chicane that they have had in previous games, with a free-flowing last corner making a decent bit of straight speed being made. Just a little few messages being said before we get into the things, and then we will go into the practice sessions. Wanted to see where I was going to be at with the car, how it felt. Obviously every race I do we need a setup. I'm always doing a setup and it makes such an improvement into the car. I've done it before where I've gone into the track and not improved the setup whatsoever, and I've felt the difference massively. So we improve the setup and we go into the ERS management. First one, we don't use any ERS and we just go straight into things, and we're able to get the purple sector straight away. If you don't use the ERS and you are fast at the same time, you are allowing yourself to get an optimal lap time, meaning you will complete the program within the first lap. With that being said, I was able to do that completely, and the track felt really nice in all honesty. As you can see, this is a new part of the circuit. As you go round, you was used to chucking a right then a left. As you can see, the old bit of the circuit to the right, but you follow it round and it's such a free-flowing part with the accelerator being put on for most of it, and we cross the line with the ERS being done as we look to complete other practice management also. With that being said, we was looking at the times and seeing where we was at for the time being. Completed a few practice sessions, got some laps under my belt in this track, and we go through to the next session. Just making sure that them parts are all okay, we don't need to change anything else, and we look to go on into the next session. No sprint race, so we'll be straight into qualifying. As we looked at the practice time of 1:16.556, making 800ths of a second behind top, being Lewis Hamilton. We didn't do any soft tyre laps in this practice session, so we shall see what kind of prevails in qualifying. Liam Lawson again going 20th, but a strange one. Don't know if you guys have noticed it, please let me know if you have, but Max Verstappen not recording a time there. I think it's a bug that F1 are yet to update, where there is one person not being able to go out in practice. I think I've had it again with Carlos Sainz not going out also, so a bit of a strange one in all honesty. But here we are preparing for qualifying, not knowing what to expect. As I say, I didn't actually use any soft tyres whatsoever, so it'll be interesting to see if we are any faster. Obviously it depends on our preference if we are better on the mediums or the soft. More than likely would be the softer tyre, but we shall see as we look to see if we can get any laps around Catalonia. Didn't really start the best in all honesty. It was a bit of a strange one. I had to have a few laps under my belt. Lap 1 we was able to create a P5 with a few people behind us and in front of us, as you see. But yeah, we go on to complete lap 2, 100th of a second minus on the delta, but we make that up on the straight, but nothing too much, and we don't really seem to do anything whatsoever. We have to do quite a few laps in qualifying. Didn't really like the feel of the soft tyre in all honesty. I didn't feel like I had the grip, didn't feel like I could go straight on the accelerator, and feel like I was kind of coasting around the corners more than anything. But yeah, it was a bit of a strange one, but we managed to come away with some few decent lap times in the end, and we just have to make do with what we had. As you can see, there's a decent bit of wear on the softer tyre as we do kind of push it to what we can. P6 seems to be the best point before we do accelerate the time and go into the further bit, seeing if we go any further down the pecking order. I was expecting to, in all honesty, wasn't expecting anything much whatsoever, as we look to see if we can skip through that. And as you can see, we go down to P11, 900ths of a second off the top. Lewis Hamilton topping the practice sessions and topping the qualifying sessions also, so he's definitely having a good weekend so far as we look to try and better that. And say P11 is probably one of the worst qualifying positions we've been in recently, in all honesty. Bearing in mind with the positions that we've been falling in also, this has definitely been a difference of what we are used to.
many eventful races here in Barcelona over the years. Do you remember Max Verstappen's first win on debut for Red Bull here in 2016? 2 years before, we had the dramatic coming together of Hamilton and Rosberg going towards turn 4. There's always a treat in store as we head back to the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya for the Spanish Grand Prix. It's an updated track at Catalunya, and we welcome the removal of the chicane in the final sector, shortening lap times and reducing the total running to 2.9 miles and 14 turns. This was actually the original setup for the track, and it hasn't been used since 2007. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Sainz, Perez, Verstappen, Russell, Norris, Bottas, Ocon, Fernando Alonso, Cook, Tsunoda, Gasly, Stroll, Magnussen, Joe, Hulkenberg, Oscar Piastri, Albon, Liam Lawson, Sargent, and Nick De Vries. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track. It's race day yet again, and joining me for a chat is Natalie Pinkham. Now, our racers are certainly in for a rough day today. What will you be watching for as they go down into turn 1?
There has been an exponential growth in the popularity of Formula One, and it is fantastic to see. This is the glue that's bonding families together. This is the talking point on a Sunday afternoon as they sit round and watch the race as a unit. I love the fact that people are starting to appreciate the various nuances of the sport, the fact there are so many layers to it. This is the cutting edge of technology. There's also so much personality and sacrifice, personal sacrifice, that gets drivers and race teams where they are today.
Okay, we've got that relief of having points on the board finally, so let's keep that form up and get another top 10 finish today, please.
So here we are then, we are on the track in Catalunya, moments away from the race, and we are looking at the race strategy, making sure that it suits our needs. It's pretty good in all honesty, nothing wrong with that whatsoever, and we are looking to go into this race. So as the lights go out, we are going to be underway. So it's going to be lights out and away we go. Here we go then, Fernando Alonso to our right of us as we look to see if we can go past him. A decent start being made, but not for the Aston Martin. We're past Valtteri Bottas also now, Esteban Ocon, George Russell and Lando Norris just in front of us as we are early on into the brakes, but we are late into that corner. Valtteri Bottas making a pass through us now, as you can see. Fernando Alonso just behind us also, wheel to wheel for Fernando going through that corner. Unfortunately for us, the Aston has a bit more power and he is through, so we're slotting ourselves back into the position that we previously qualified in, looking to see if we can get past anyone and make a statement in this race. A really strange curve of events, as you can see. A really good start, but unfortunately in that first corner we really do mess up. Getting past Fernando Alonso now, as you can see, Valtteri Bottas, Esteban Ocon and George Russell in front of us as we look to see the faster of the lot. In all honesty, we do look like we've got the pace, but it doesn't seem to be that we can make the mark off the straight. As we look on the first bit of straight here, as you see, Bottas making a decent gap in front of us, 400th of a second. George Russell is going to be on the harder tyre, so if we're going to overtake him, it's going to be now, because he's going to be warmed up in a few laps as we look to see if we can complete the first lap with any collisions not being made whatsoever. Easy does it with the ERS being activated as we look to see the new hairpin as we go round the first corner before we complete the first lap, being lap 1 out of 23 laps commencing. Fastest lap being Charles Leclerc, and I can only imagine he's in P1 at the moment. Very strange because Verstappen is normally the one to be beaten. As we look to see now, Valtteri Bottas are on the horizon as we look to see if we can overtake him. We are only kind of rear of him now, as we might get a bit of slipstream. We're not going to get DRS just yet, as we look to see now if we can overtake him. We go to the left hand side, late on the brakes we go, and through we go as well. Esteban Ocon now in front of us as we go wide through that corner, pushing Valtteri Bottas out the way, but we are through. Fastest lap once again, Charles Leclerc, as we look to see now if we can pass Esteban Ocon. DRS enabled, so we are going to get DRS in a few of the straights now, but we are wheel to wheel with the Alpine machine as we look to see if we can outbrake Esteban Ocon, and yes we do. We are on the inside of the curb as we now have George Russell in 7th, myself in 8th, Esteban Ocon in 9th, and Valtteri Bottas making up the last point in 10th. We're really closing the gap on George Russell now to see if we can make a move round the outside as we go, and through we go as well. A really nice overtake and a really clean one at that, and you can see how fast we're going. Purple sector 1 as we look to see now if we can gain a bit of time from the cars in front of us. I'm pretty sure I can make out who the first two are with Norris and Perez. It might be Carlos Sainz in the other Ferrari making up the 4th place. So an interesting start to this Grand Prix. As I say, a weird one at the same time, as I was very slow, but we seem to be making up the places as soon as we go on. You bearing in mind, lap 1 we was in P11, and now lap 3 we are in P7, so we have definitely made up the places, and we are making a decent lap. Purple sector 2 now with this lap, so we are definitely going fast. We've got the pace, it's just making sure that it sticks and we are able to contain that time and get past as many people as possible as we look to go over the checkered line. Max Verstappen making the fastest lap, but we're going to beat that. We're going to top that with a 1:15.8, and we have gained the fastest lap in this Catalonia Grand Prix. Lap 4 of 23 now as we try and minimise the time between myself and Lando Norris. 1.7 seconds going through that straight, but as we look to go near to the end of the lap, you can see the bunching up that is being made. If anything, Carlos Sainz is holding everyone up, and we can actually see the whole pack in front of us, the whole top 6. As we look to see now if we can get past Lando Norris. He's going to get DRS on Sergio Perez, but it'll be interesting to see if our car is any match for the McLaren. Here we are then, DRS activated as we tuck ourselves in behind Norris. We're going to get a dirty air, so we are going to try and pass him at any point in time. We move to the left hand side, so we're going to go on the outside, and through we go. He allows us the space, in all honesty, not putting up much of a fight whatsoever, and we slot ourselves into P6 now with Perez. I'm pretty much sure that he's signed yet. That's signed, and I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure if that's Verstappen. No, that must be Hamilton. Yes, it's Hamilton in front. The pack keeps on changing as we develop in this Grand Prix. Lap 11 of 23. I was literally just making up the lap times as we go, as we are now in the pit window. As I say, we have jumped to this lap now. As not a lot happened, in all honesty. Not happening at all in terms of trying to get past Perez. But we are in for the pits, we are on the mediums as we seem to be able to have the better second half of the race. Not too sure where that's going to fall out on either. As I say, Verstappen going past us, so he's already pitted. We're going down the order, and currently at the moment, that means P9 for the moment, an optimal pit stop as we have more people going past us. Our teammate Liam Lawson and Charles Leclerc in front of us also, hoping our teammate doesn't hold us up too much as there is a massive kind of big train there. So there's going to be some DRS through these straights. Hopefully we can stick with them and not fall too back. I hate it when you're not within that second gap and we're not able to make any time up whatsoever. Liam Lawson yet to pit, and to be honest, he looks slow and he's been slow all year. Definitely a teammate change being made at the end of the season as we look to try and pass him, hoping that there was team orders in this game, because boy oh boy would they be activated. As we go late onto the brakes in that corner, failing the opportunity to get past him, he closes us out, and I'm really surprised to see it, but we are through from Liam Lawson into P10, making up the point, and we are now through with Lewis Hamilton on the harder set of tyres, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem being overtaken in especially with us being on the mediums. Lewis Hamilton just in front of us now, lap 13 of 23. We've made up a decent bit of time. We're going to get DRS. So is he, I think, on Sergio Perez. I'm not too sure. Actually, yes, he does, yes. Wasn't too sure if his front wing had opened really early into the brakes on that corner. What a weird move from Lewis Hamilton as we nearly go into the rear of him there. Nevertheless, we maintain our cool as we look to see now if we can overtake him on that final straight, completing lap 13 out of 23. After this lap being completed, we have only got 9 laps left of this Catalonia GP. It is shaping up to be an interesting one. Also, Lewis Hamilton going to get the DRS on Sergio Perez, but we're going to get DRS on Lewis Hamilton. It's pretty much going to be wheel to wheel into this corner, and so it is, as we have more bottle, it seems to be, and we are through into P5. We are making up the places as we go. What an unbelievable Grand Prix this is turning out to be. As we look to see now, Sergio Perez 1.1 second in front. Hamilton now 300th of a second behind, as we look to see if we can gain a bit of time on Hamilton and also try to see if we can get anywhere near Sergio Perez. Sainz has a decent gap in front of Perez also, so the fight is definitely going to be between them. But as you can see now, Sainz, Leclerc and Perez right in front of me. One of them is holding up Yuki Tsunoda out of the Grand Prix now, as I can only believe that will probably be a mechanical failure because we have had no yellow flags, neither have we had any safety cars, and no any smoke. I'm not too sure actually, and no smoke, but he has got a mechanical failure and he pulls off with kind of a lot of space being given. and there is unfortunately for him, Yuki Tsunoda's Grand Prix is finished. But we are turning ourselves now into the fight that we have got. Not many laps left whatsoever, but there is definitely a race on for a podium as we look to see now if we can get past this lot. They are fast though. We are going to get DRS. They're only 800 of a second behind. So we are kind of eking out the gap. They only got to gain 200 of a second, and they will not have DRS on these drivers as we look to see now if we can do anything. It's going to be tough in all honesty because they all look fast. They're all in better machines than what we're ever going to be in. Still Yuki Tsunoda in that bay waiting to be collected as we look to see now if we can complete lap 9 of 23, 900 per second, so we're literally on the brink of DRS in all honesty. We have no overtake whatsoever. George Russell taking an eye at us, seeing if he can get past, but as you can see, free into the corner in front of us as Leclerc and Perez are battling it out, allowing myself to gain a bit of advantage in all honesty. While they're battling it out, I've got a free run and I'm able to try and get past one of them as we look to see now Charles Leclerc looking a bit vulnerable, but we are really kind of early and late into them kind of corners, and we don't seem to gain as much momentum as we really would like to in all honesty. Leclerc kind of pushing the gap in front now, 500 of a second, so he has got away even though he lost that time with the overtake from himself and Perez. Things are making itself so interesting now as we literally have barely any laps left. As you can see, DRS on Leclerc, overtake being made. I literally have no overtake left whatsoever. We go to the left of Leclerc. We're going to be wheel to wheel through this corner, and through we go. We've been making so many overtakes through that corner. We've been making it look so easy more than anything, and we do it nice and tidy, and we are through lap 20 of 23 now. Our person now that ahead us will be signed to second splitters, and not a lot of splitters whatsoever. Perez making the overtake on Carlos Sainz, so Perez has moved up to P2. Sainz doesn't seem to be working as well on the hard tyres, and it is now the final lap of the race, lap 23 of 23. This will be the time now to see if we can make any advantage or any gain on Carlos Sainz. As you can see, he's literally within touch and distance in all honesty. 300 per second, 500 per second. He gained some time though, he's up to 700 per second. It's all about those fine margins as we look to complete this final lap of Catalonia. As I say, it'll be interesting to see if we can gain any sort of time on him. I mean, if he goes any further ahead, we will not be getting DRS on that particular straight, so it'll be interesting to see what we can do for ourselves. 700 per second. Now, yes, you can see the split is definitely kind of differentiating between the different corners and straights. I think he's faster through the corners. You can see 400 per second, and it jumps up to 600, so he's definitely faster through the corners, but we are faster through the straight. This is going to be the one time, if we are going to gain any time on Carlos Sainz, it is going to be now, as we look to see now if we can gain any time, but I just don't think we are. I think, if all honesty, if we were to kind of gain the momentum that we have and everything else, then we would probably gain enough time on it if there were enough laps, but it's not to be, and it looks like we're going to have to settle for P4, but I'm very, very happy with that, and we will move on from this Grand Prix, moving away with P4, Max Verstappen going over the checkered line, and that is us done for this Grand Prix. P4, well, that is a brilliant drive from us. P11, you bearing in mind that we qualified in, and yeah, a mega job to be able to get us on near to the podium. Honestly, we're so close. Driver of the day also, so a nice little accomplishment for us, and we move on to the next. As we look onto the standings now, confirmation of P4, George Russell and Lewis Hamilton behind us, Leclerc, Norris, Alonso and Bottas making up the final 10 to get the last point. Liam Lawson getting one of his better finishes, starting on the grid from P20 and going up to 17th, so not too bad, but we do need improvements from our teammate, unless he will be out. We'll probably, unfortunately, we will have to look for a new teammate next year. As we look to see these standings overall for what we are, we're currently in position 8, 48 points, and probably we got 8 points between ourselves and Alonso, so nothing really splits us in all this thing, and there's a lot of time to go. P5 in the Constructor Championship also, so it's definitely going to be an interesting one. I have had problems exporting this video, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it's been a bit of a difficult one recently, but I hope you really enjoyed this one. Please like and subscribe for more content just like this one, and don't forget to hit the notification button so you never miss a video. Cheers.